The new coronavirus, COVID-19, in mainland China has not stopped. Recently, many bloggers on mainland social media platforms have released news that more and more people have suddenly passed away. One blogger directly called out, "Who can come to save us?" A blogger in the funeral industry bluntly said, "In the past 3 years, the number of bodies under 30 years old has tripled." Mainland netizens questioned whether it was caused by the new coronavirus or the consequences of the pandemic years. Who can come and save us? On July 22nd, Douyin blogger Brother Dahui prayed in a video, "Who can come and save us?"
为什么医院的病人越来越多？
Now the hospital is full of patients with hypertension, myocardial infarction, cerebral infarction, in various cancers, in uremia cases, countless. What's more terrible is that these cases are getting younger and younger. The blogger said that a 28-year-old programmer suddenly died from overtime. A 35-year-old mother of 2 had advanced breast cancer, and even junior high school students have begun to develop diabetes and fatty liver. Last month, a friend of his died of a sudden myocardial infarction despite rescue efforts. Dr. Blogger, there are more and more patients with myocardial infarction and cerebral infarction, and they are getting younger and younger. On June 24th, Zhang Kaihui, attending physician in the Department of Dermatology at Dongjiamen Hospital of Beijing University of Chinese Medicine, said through his Douyin account, "There are more and more people with myocardial infarction and cerebral infarction, and they are getting younger and younger. These two diseases have high incidence, high recurrence rate, high disability rate, high mortality rate, and high economic burden. Now, people in their 40s have become frequent visitors to the ward, and even young people in their 20s and 30s are getting sick more and more." Zhang Yaojun, a cardiologist at Suzhou Cancer Hospital, also posted a video on Douyin on April 16th, saying that there are more and more patients with myocardial infarction and cerebral infarction, and they are getting younger and younger. In the past, there were mostly elderly people. Now, many people in their 40s should be the backbone of the family, but their blood vessels are 30 years older than their ID cards. Lu Xiao, deputy chief physician in the emergency department of the second affiliated hospital of Zhejiang University School of Medicine, also said on his Douyin account on June 11th, "Recently, 2 consecutive patients with myocardial infarction in their 30s suddenly passed away. One of them had a child who was just born not long ago, and the family collapsed. The other died suddenly at 2 or 3 in the morning. There are also doctor bloggers who said, more and more people are suddenly dying this year. In the past 3 years, the number of bodies under 30 has tripled." On July 22nd, mainland Douyin blogger Zhang Renju posted a video saying more and more young people are dying suddenly. He works in the funeral industry, and the youngest sudden death he has come into contact with was only 18 years old. In the past 3 years, the number of bodies under 30 has tripled. He also said that the sudden death patients they had contact with were 70% normal before the onset of the disease. The comment section resonated with netizens from Guangdong, Fujian, and Jiangsu. "I have a friend who was born in 91 and died of a heart attack last year. He was only in his early 30s. I have a cousin who died not long ago and was only in his 30s. He died suddenly. My husband also died suddenly in another place 19 days ago. He was only 36 years old and had no underlying diseases. He was tall and strong. Recently, many celebrities and police officers have died suddenly. On July 13th, Guo Jianfeng, the legal representative of Shanxi Baoji Uyuan New Metal Technology Contaminated, and a well-known travel influencer, suddenly passed away on his way to Tibet by car. The cause of death was suspected to be acute myocardial infarction. On July 7th, the well-known writer Fu Guoyong died of a sudden heart attack at his home in Hangzhou at the age of 59. His family was with him at the time, and the heart attack happened very suddenly. On June 18th, Wu Di, a well-known crosstalk actor in Tianjin, suddenly passed away at the age of 51. Some young police officers also died suddenly. On July 4th, Tian Yu, a 45-year-old first-class police sergeant in the first prison area of Lanzhou Prison, died suddenly while working. On June 9th, Wang Zhen, a police officer of the Traffic Police Brigade of Taikang County Public Security Bureau in Zhoushu City, Henan Province, suddenly passed away from heart disease while on a business trip. He was only 35 years old. According to Minghui.org's statistics in 2024, at least 31 grassroots police officers in Heilongjiang province alone have died suddenly in recent years. Take shelter quickly in the face of the epidemic. The life-saving remedy is right in front of you. After the outbreak of the epidemic in China in 2019, the new coronavirus CCP virus has been mutating in China, and the CCP has been hiding the truth. The latest data released by the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention shows that in June, the number of Class B infectious diseases in the country included 5 main diseases, among which the new coronavirus ranked first.
China's cityscapes, once proud emblems of ambition and prosperity, now paint a starkly different picture. Beneath glittering overpasses, people wrapped in threadbare blankets dig through trash bins for scraps, their hands stretched out where office workers once hurried by with coffee in hand. This isn't the glossy image China presents to the world. From Shenzhen to Chengdu, quiet despair is surfacing in the open as joblessness and hunger seep into everyday life. A decade ago, China felt unstoppable. Skyscrapers shot up like weeds, luxury stores sparkled under a sea of neon. The Chinese dream was more than a slogan. It was a promise, especially to the younger generation raised with expectations of comfort, status, and endless growth. But while the skyline soared, deeper fractures spread beneath the glittering surface. The so-called economic miracle was fueled by unrelenting construction, surging exports, and a housing frenzy. For a time, it worked. Millions were lifted out of poverty, farmlands transformed into megacities. The world marveled at China's lightning speed rise, but the cracks were always there, papered over by denial and propaganda. Inequality widened as local governments plunged into unsustainable debt to keep the building boom alive. Migrant workers chased unstable, low-paid jobs with no safety net. Young graduates were churned out into a job market that didn't want them. The social safety system, barely functional, especially for those without a coveted urban household registration. Then came the pandemic, and with it, a brutal reckoning. Lockdown suffocated small businesses. The export engine sputtered. The property market, once a symbol of invincibility, started to crack. Tech giants crumbled under regulatory assaults. The illusion of infinite growth collapsed under its own weight. In the aftermath, the bleeding didn't stop, it just got quieter. Companies laid off workers in silence. Factories shuttered. Government support evaporated. Meanwhile, basic living costs soared. In the biggest cities, wages fell behind rising rents, food prices, and healthcare bills, pushing even the once comfortable into quiet desperation. The middle class is vanishing. People who once saved for down payments now sleep on pavement. Factory veterans wait hours for temp gigs. College graduates with master's degrees turn to live streaming or food delivery to survive. Shopping malls once filled with eager consumers now sit in eerie silence, replaced by tents and makeshift shelters. Food banks are swamped. This isn't a short-term slump, it's a full-blown unraveling of a system addicted to speed over sustainability. From Guangzhou's alleyways to Xi'an's streets, Beijing's high-rises to Chengdu's underpasses, the symptoms are clear. Families sleep beside luxury towers, elderly scavengers pick through bins for recyclables. Children line up at donation kitchens, their parents silent with shame. Before they're censored, social media videos expose the truth. Bridges turned into shanty towns, brawls over food waste, unemployed workers protesting at factory gates. In one clip, a former Dongguan manager sobs beside a burning barrel. He hasn't eaten in 2 days. In another, a Wuhan University graduate holds a sign, "Master's degree will work for food." In 2023, the Chinese government abruptly stopped reporting youth unemployment after the rate passed 20%. But silence doesn't hide the crisis, it amplifies it. Independent estimates now suggest real youth joblessness nears 40%. In city after city, college grads pack job fairs, only to find a few openings swarmed by hundreds of applicants. The dream of a white-collar future has crumbled into a fight to stay afloat. Across China's industrial heartlands, workers in manufacturing, logistics, and tech are facing a storm of silent collapse. Mass layoffs arrive without warning or severance. Once booming industrial parks in cities like Shenzhen and Suzhou now lie eerily still. Assembly lines abandoned, warehouses sealed. In provinces such as Hunan and Hebei, vast housing projects stand as empty gray skeletons, their construction crews dismissed without pay. White-collar engineers and managers are let go by automated messages. In a single day, thousands of middle-class families are stripped of their homes, income, and identity. For those already teetering on the edge, survival has become a daily war. Couriers curl up inside delivery boxes to sleep. Cleaning staff cram into overcrowded, crumbling dormitories. Street vendors are chased away by urban officers, their produce scattered and stalls overturned. In cities like Lanzhou and Fuzhou, homeless camps made of tarps and scrapwood are regularly bulldozed, only to rise again in the shadows of overpasses and alleyways. The government's response? Pretend it isn't happening. Rather than acknowledge the economic fracture, authorities clamp down on speech and tighten the illusion of stability and national strength. Job numbers are polished and padded. Police patrol the streets not to help but to erase the evidence. In wealthy districts of Shanghai, public benches are being retrofitted with metal spikes to keep the poor from resting. Cold, deliberate symbols of exclusion. Far from the cities, another silent crisis is unfolding. With urban jobs drying up, a wave of reverse migration has begun. Workers return to their rural villages, not triumphant, but defeated. They carry no savings, only disappointment. In poorer regions like Anhui and Henan, parents who once depended on remittances from children working in the city now face extra mouths to feed and no income to count on. Desperation spreads like drought, and more households fall below the poverty line each week. Beijing's proudly touted narrative of poverty elimination is unraveling. What emerges instead is a fractured country, urban centers filled with shuttered businesses and rising homelessness, and rural communities sinking deeper under economic strain. The distance between what was promised and what is real grows wider by the day. This crisis didn't fall from the sky. It was forged by decades of unchecked pressure points. At its core lie three pillars of instability, now giving way. First, a labor market that's failing its people. Once dependent on infrastructure booms and export factories, China now faces a reckoning as global demand slows and foreign firms exit. Factory cities like Dongguan, once humming with activity, are now haunted by silence and rusting gates. Second, the service economy that was supposed to lead China into the future never truly arrived. Big tech firms like Tencent, Alibaba, and Meituan have laid off tens of thousands. Once promising startups have shuttered quietly. The crackdown on private tutoring wiped out millions of education jobs almost overnight, derailing careers and dreams alike. These aren't just signs of an economic downturn, they're tremors of a deeper collapse. What's unfolding in China today is not a temporary recession, but a social unraveling. The so-called economic miracle has entered a grim new phase, and beneath the surface of government slogans and polished statistics lies a crisis that touches every corner of life. The most pressing question is no longer about GDP growth, but how long this silence can be sustained before it cracks wide open. China's youth are bearing the brunt of this collapse. Each year, millions graduate full of hope, degrees in hand only to face a wall of closed doors. The promise that education would lead to a better future has turned into a cruel illusion. Once a passport to success, university diplomas now serve as reminders of broken dreams. Many end up delivering takeout in the rain, riding scooters through endless traffic, or scrolling job apps late into the night from cramped dorm rooms, waiting for a callback that may never come. At the heart of this catastrophe lies a failed growth model. For decades, China's urban expansion was powered not by need, but by speculation. Apartments were built not for people to live in, but for investors to flip. Empty skyscrapers litter cities across the country, monuments to greed and debt. Millions were sold the fantasy of homeownership, only to find themselves trapped. Mortgages unpaid, buildings unfinished, savings wiped out. As real estate giants like Evergrande and Country Garden implode, the ripple effects are devastating. Construction sites have gone silent. Migrant workers are being dismissed without pay. Mortgage boycotts are erupting nationwide, with buyers refusing to pay for homes they'll never receive. In cities like Zhengzhou and Shenyang, the unemployed sleep in the ruins of half-built towers or underground garages turned into makeshift shelters. This isn't just a housing crisis. It's the collapse of trust, of stability, of an entire generation's aspirations. And through it all, the government's playbook remains unchanged: deny, distract, disappear the problem. There is no robust safety net, no meaningful unemployment insurance, no comprehensive health care, no effective aid for the elderly scraping by on pensions that don't even cover groceries. Migrant workers, the backbone of China's urban rise, remain second-class citizens under the hukou system, shut out from basic city services. Those returning to rural hometowns find only decay: empty villages, shuttered schools, and zero jobs. Beijing's response has been to spin fairy tales. State media flood screens with positive energy and stage stories of rural revival. Meanwhile, videos of soup kitchen lines, tent cities, and desperate protests vanish within hours of being posted. Truth is treated like a threat. Even talking about poverty or unemployment risks censorship or arrest. Fear, not transparency, guides the national narrative. And so, a country once filled with ambition and hope now lives under a heavy silence. A silence enforced by power, but cracking at the edges. Families go hungry as statistics smile. Graduates give up as leaders boast. The distance between China's ruling elite and its struggling citizens has never felt more vast or more dangerous. Because silence doesn't solve collapse, it only delays the reckoning.
Since yesterday, everyone has been in a state of panic over the water pollution incident in Liangzhu. Several of my friends said their homes started smelling foul. One of my friends is already experiencing gastrointestinal issues. The odor hasn't subsided at all. It's incredibly strong. Someone joked that Hangzhou is trying to turn into Smellzhou, but it's not a joke. The smell is indescribable. Everyone's buying bottled water now. Tap water is undrinkable. My stomach hurts. Hangzhou was supposed to be recovering recently, but now it's become a public health crisis. Sorry, I'm not trying to mock anyone. I just couldn't hold in my reaction. Many users are reporting the same thing, including platforms like Fenshui. I'm honestly speechless. I've left the water running for over 10 minutes and it still stinks. It's unbearable. Right now, even taking a shower means you're using contaminated water. Shanghai, once China's shimmering beacon of progress, now lies in ruin, its streets silenced by a devastating flood and a deeper societal decay. Last month, the Huangpu River, long the city's lifeblood, erupted in a torrent of toxic sludge, submerging entire districts in a noxious brew of industrial waste. Streets like Xindong Road, the East, Third Ring Road, and Guomao, once vibrant hubs of commerce, stand barren. Their pavements, fractured, their gutters, choked with water, reeking of chemicals and decay. Shopping malls in Shujiahui and Lujiazui, formerly bustling with consumers, are desolate shells. Their lower floors coated in silt, their escalators frozen. By 9 p.m., Jingting Street in Hebei's historic core is a ghostly expanse. Its restaurants shuttered, their tables scarred by floodwater stains. Official reports claim Shanghai houses over 8 million residents. Yet the city feels abandoned, its vitality drowned in a deluge that has laid bare a triple crisis: environmental catastrophe, economic collapse, and a profound erosion of trust. Descriptions of the odor and discoloration. People are saying the tap water started to smell last night. But the most alarming thing is, let me describe this for you. I'm standing by the bathroom door in my house, and I can smell the stench from here. It's not something that goes away with time. People said, just let the water run a bit and it'll stop smelling. That didn't happen. Many netizens observed that the water truly smells awful. And when you collect it directly under the tap, you can see it's not clean. Let me show you what it looked like this morning when I brushed my teeth. The most successful business in Yuhang district right now is the bottled water seller. I saw people lining up to buy it. First signs of contamination. Just earlier, while washing vegetables, I noticed the water smelled terrible, like raw sewage. My hands still reek. Should I even eat these vegetables now? It's outrageous. There are reports that Hangzhou has accidentally connected the tap water lines to the sewage system. While riding my electric scooter, I passed several sewer drains. Water was bubbling out of all of them. Officials are insisting the water is fine. Really? Then what's this? It doesn't look like orange juice. I've read so many posts online, and the truth is, it not only smells bad, it looks disgusting too. Photos like this, and this one. There are just too many. 21st, the 6th day since the incident started. I've left the water running for 20 minutes and it looks worse than yesterday. Let's test the water again today. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm still worried. We're stirring it and inspecting it, but it's still yellowish brown. Not completely brown, but definitely yellow with a murky tone. The foul-smelling water incident in Yuhang district continues to escalate. Many citizens believe they've been drinking sewage. There are rumors that the tap water system has been mistakenly connected to street drainage. Some say a water bureau official sabotaged operations in retaliation against his superior, causing 13 major pipelines in the central city to be connected to sewer lines. Authorities claim it's just a rumor but have yet to identify the true source of contamination. A vague official statement only raises more suspicions. Let's talk about this sewage water situation in Yuhang. The people of Yuhang have suffered enough. I was wrong yesterday. I thought it only affected a few hundred households. But then someone messaged me on WeChat politely but firmly saying, "What do you mean? A few hundred? I live in Yuhang, bro. I've been drinking this water for a whole week. Where's my apology?" It turns out this could be affecting over 100,000 or even several 100,000 households. I don't know the exact number, but even if we lowball the estimate, it's still enormous. Some people speculate it's due to a mistaken connection, tap water pipes accidentally linked with sewer lines. Others claim a high-ranking official gave an order to merge wastewater and drinking water pipelines under the excuse that it could be filtered later. Decades ago, Shanghai stood as a symbol of China's ascent, its skyline rivaling global capitals, its economy briefly surpassing Beijing's in 2020. Factories churned, offices thrived, and migrants flooded in, drawn by promises of prosperity. Today, that vision is a distant memory. Commercial districts, particularly shops beneath towering residential complexes, are either boarded up, marked with desperate for lease signs, or rendered uninhabitable by the flood's poisonous residue. In Sanlitun, once a kaleidoscope of neon and nightlife storefronts gape empty, their interiors ruined by water laced with industrial toxins. During the recent Dragon Boat Festival in Anting County, no tourists roamed, no vendors called out. Only the ripple of stagnant floodwater broke the oppressive silence. The festive spirit, once a hallmark of Shanghai's holidays, has vanished, replaced by an eerie desolation. Social media posts, often censored within hours, estimate 1 million residents are jobless, their livelihoods swept away alongside the city's infrastructure. The flood has unleashed a public health nightmare, amplifying China's long-ignored water crisis. The Huangpu's surge carried decades of industrial runoff mercury-cadmium microplastics from upstream factories transforming rivers into conduits of poison. In Minhang, tap water emits a gasoline-like stench, leaving an oily film on boiled rice, forcing families to boil it repeatedly in futile hopes of safety. In rural Pudong, farmers watch crops wither under contaminated irrigation, their greens and peaches banned from markets for fear of toxicity. Bottled water, now triple the price of 2 years ago, is a luxury beyond the reach of many, while the poor resort to river water fully aware it's a gamble with their health. Cancer rates soar in so-called cancer villages, near industrial zones where leukemia and kidney tumors claim children before adolescence. Official reports from the Ministry of Ecology and Environment claim 90% of monitored water sources meet safety standards, but these claims omit rural wells and obscure the criteria, leaving residents to navigate a daily gauntlet of distrust. Satellite imagery and NGO reports reveal a different truth: contamination spreading across central and eastern provinces, with rivers like the Huai in Jiangsu running thick with chemical sludge, their surfaces refusing to blend with rainwater. This environmental catastrophe is no accident, but the culmination of decades of systemic neglect. Since the 1980s, China's industrial boom turned rivers into dumping grounds. Textile plants, pharmaceutical factories, and metal refiners in Pudong and beyond discharged waste with impunity, encouraged by local governments prioritizing GDP over health. Regulations existed, but enforcement was a farce. Fines were negligible, cheaper than investing in wastewater treatment. Pipes were laid, not to clean sewage, but to shunt it downstream out of sight. By 2015, over 80% of rural wells were deemed severely polluted, yet factories continued unabated, their toxins seeping into the Huangpu and Yangtze. The recent flood tore open this hidden wound, spreading poison into homes, fields, and markets. Fish float dead along the Huangpu's banks, and villagers in Zoiga report a stench so potent they wear masks indoors. In Shandong, a textile factory's discharge turned tap water red and blue, hospitalizing children and elderly with gastrointestinal ailments. Yet local officials dismissed it as a temporary waterline imbalance, their denials erasing online evidence within hours. In Sichuan's industrial corridor, a paper mill's wastewater poisons the Min River, killing fish and tainting drinking sources, while residents in Guangzhou and Nanjing report tap water smelling of plastic, causing rashes and ulcers. Economic collapse compounds this environmental disaster. Since 2024, hundreds of small and medium-sized banks have folded, crippled by bad loans tied to a collapsing real estate market. The flood has rendered countless properties worthless, their foundations eroded their interiors. Toxic, leaving banks with submerged collateral and depositors withdrawing funds in panic. On May 23, 2025, the Ministry of Finance's 50-year Treasury bonds, intended as a signal of stability, were met with a bid multiple of just 2.27, a public rebuke of the regime's credibility. Financial analysts describe it as a silent referendum, with even state banks refusing to prop up a faltering system. Real estate. Once Shanghai's economic engine lies in ruins, developers' default projects, stall, and half-built towers stand as waterlogged skeletons. The flood's toxic residue ensures no swift recovery. Entire neighborhoods are uninhabitable, their pipes corroded, their value erased. The banking sector's turmoil reflects a broader crisis of confidence, with depositors fearing further collapses and regulators offering only vague reassurances. The human toll is staggering, marked by hunger, illness, and loss. The flood destroyed farmlands and markets, leaving food supplies scarce and families starving. In Minhang, parents boil water 5 times to feed infants, fearing invisible toxins, while in Pudong, farmers face ruin as their tainted crops are shunned. Bottled water scandals, bacterial contamination, mislabeled sources deepen the crisis, while overpriced filtration systems offer false hope. In cancer villages, mothers bury children lost to leukemia, their grief silenced by censorship. Urban residents report fatigue, hormonal imbalances, and infections linked to contaminated water, yet clinics offer no answers and authorities deflect blame. Reports of missing children haunt social media, their fates entangled with the flood's chaos. A boy from Putian, Fujian, vanished near a swollen canal. In Beijing, a 15-year-old was lost in the western hills, swept away by a flooded stream. In Yunnan, Wuhan, Nanjing and Anhui teenagers disappear on errands at libraries on their way to school, some caught in floodwaters, others lost to the broader collapse. Schools and kindergartens close as families flee or fall ill, their playgrounds overtaken by weeds and stagnant pools. Social media buzzes with speculation challenging the official 1.4 billion population figure. A netizen from Anhui cited a public security source claiming only 760 million remain, while another from Liaoning alleged mass urban deaths during the pandemic, now compounded by the flood's toll. These claims, though unverified, fuel distrust, as empty train stations, deserted highways, and abandoned villages paint a picture of a nation hollowed out. In Jiangsu, a village once home to 5,000 is now a waterlogged ruin, its large gated homes crumbling, a faded spring gala poster clinging to a wall, a relic of lost joy. In Hunan, a town of tens of thousands shelters barely 100 its buildings, unsafe its hospital and cinema overtaken by decay. In western Jiangsu, a former hub of 10,000 is patrolled only by security guards, its infrastructure a flooded wasteland. The desolation extends beyond Shanghai, with rural areas in Zhejiang and Shandong mirroring this decay, their fields poisoned, their communities deserted. This crisis stems from three systemic failures. First, industrialization ran unchecked, with factories offered tax breaks and lax oversight to fuel growth. Rivers like the Yangtze and Pearl became drainage canals for heavy metals and pharmaceuticals, their ecosystems destroyed. Second, environmental agencies, subordinate to GDP-obsessed local governments, lack the power to enforce regulations. Inspections are staged, whistleblowers silenced, and fines treated as a cost of business. The 2015 Water 10 Plan promised reform, but without local accountability, it faltered. Third, urban expansion outpaced infrastructure. Ghost cities rose with gleaming high-rises, but no modern sewage systems, leaving stormwater and waste to mingle in outdated pipes. Groundwater over-extracted and polluted by pesticides, and runoff is no longer a refuge. The flood exposed these flaws, turning Shanghai's ambition into a toxic liability. Social tensions are rising. In Qingpu, parents confronted a chemical plant in May 2025 after 5 children were diagnosed with leukemia, only to face police crackdowns and censored videos. A villager's plea, "We just want water that won't kill our children," vanished from the internet within hours. Online forums overflow with questions. Is my district's water safe? What's causing the smell? Answers are scarce, as censorship stifles outrage. In wealthier districts, a new divide emerges. Luxury buildings boast imported purification systems, while ordinary residents queue at public dispensers, uncertain of the water's safety. The poor spend half their income on bottled water, while community wells, dug in desperation, draw from poisoned aquifers. Farmers face a double blow: tainted irrigation ruins crops, and their produce is shunned, plunging agricultural communities into poverty. This is not just an environmental tragedy, but a collapse of legitimacy. When water, the essence of life, becomes poison, the state's promise endure for prosperity crumbles. Residents distrust the air, food, and schools haunted by fear that every sip or shower carries danger. Teenagers jest that water is seasoning, not hydration, masking dread with dark humor. The flood, carrying decades of industrial sin, has laid bare a system that prioritized concrete over humanity. Shanghai's skyline, once a symbol of triumph, now mocks its decay. The bond market's failure, the banking sector's collapse, and the toxic waters are symptoms of a deeper malaise, a nation unraveling under the weight of its own ambition. Entire communities have grown accustomed to filtering every liter, boiling every drop, avoiding every river. Yet the silence persists. Censorship replaces transparency. Fear supplants outrage, and resignation creeps in. If 80% of China's water is toxic, how long until trust is wholly extinguished? Shanghai. Once the nation's pride, stands as a warning. A city drowned, not just in water but in betrayal. Its streets empty, its future uncertain, its people left to navigate a poisoned present with no promise of redemption. Promise of redemption. Promise. There's also a theory that people have been drinking sewage for a long time. They just forgot to turn on the filtration valve that day. If you shower in sewage, that's one thing. But if you drink it, wash rice with it, rinse vegetables and fruit with it, you're basically eating human waste. Let's not forget there are food processing factories in the affected area. Ordinary people can still buy bottled water, but food manufacturers don't stop production. That means their products, including drinks and packaged foods, might already be circulating nationwide. So this isn't just a local problem anymore. Anyone in China could end up eating something produced in the contaminated zone. Now everyone's panicking. I wanted to order food delivery today, but even then I had to worry what kind of water did they use to cook. There's been a run on bottled water. I ordered 2 large jugs this afternoon, but the estimated delivery time was 3 to 4 hours. What's even scarier is that this time people caught on because the water stank. But what if there wasn't a smell next time? Is there a detection system in place? Are there daily inspections? Authorities haven't provided any answers. That's why people are so afraid. And then these netizens, some of their comments really made me laugh. One wrote, "We apologize for the inconvenience." But it should be, "We apologize for the excrement." Another joke going around is, "Now even taking a crap needs to be metered." The term metered crap has become a sarcastic nickname. Officials in Yuhang announced that affected households would receive a rebate of 5 tons of water, about 15 yuan, in compensation, since tap water costs 3 yuan per ton. But many mocked this 5 tons might wash the sewage out of the pipes, but it won't wash away the psychological trauma. Some netizens even pointed out that the food factories never stopped during the crisis. That means products from the region, including snacks, drinks, and daily use items, may have been distributed nationwide. On July 19th, officials stated that there were many online rumors, and the police would begin investigating misinformation. This marked the start of censorship. Posts, videos, and comments were deleted or restricted. Some users even had their accounts blocked. Reports from other provinces reveal that as early as May, the concentration of fecal bacteria in the local Yongsheng Canal jumped 730 times the normal level. By June, the count reached 16,000 per milliliter. In 2 nearby reservoirs, the numbers were even worse, 28,000 and 24,000 respectively. It turns out people in the area had already been drinking contaminated water for over a month. Yesterday, I posted a video asking where this wastewater came from, what exactly is its source. Within a day, the video was restricted and made visible only to myself. That's terrifying. We're not even allowed to speak. It reminds me of past crises when the government tried to silence the truth with similar tactics. Are they really trying to buy the health of 3 million people with a 5-ton water rebate? Let me ask you. This is 15 yuan. Worth the peace of mind of 3 million residents? Officials said, all indicators meet drinking water standards except the odor. I almost laughed. That's wordplay. What about the health of 3 million people? Can you dismiss it like that? If your goal is to make up for our losses, don't just give 15 yuan worth of water. Might as well hand out a bubble tea coupon. It's worth more, 12 hours of silence. Too little, too late. The most unacceptable part, the water issue, was first discovered at 9:00 a.m. The government didn't issue a public announcement until 9:44 p.m. That's 12 hours of silence. In those 12 hours, 3 million people bathed, cooked, drank water. Many had already ingested enough. Some even reported that after showering, their pets tried to bury them, mimicking a death ritual. One person filtered their water with cotton. It came out brown and cloudy. Yet the officials claimed no unusual substances found. No final answer. No accountability. Even now, the official explanation keeps changing. First, they said it's due to fluctuations in source water. Then, it's not a sewage pipe connection. Later, it was due to equipment mishandling. So, which is it? I just want a straight answer. Why is that so hard? Silent exodus, and betrayal. Yesterday morning, I left my house early. The underground parking lot was nearly empty on a Friday morning. That means many people likely fled Yuhang overnight after work, seeking safe places to eat, bathe, and stay. By nightfall, the parking garage was still empty. I had never seen it like that before. People have abandoned the area out of fear, but not me. I have nowhere else to go. I really considered Hangzhou my home. But Hangzhou, did you ever treat me like family? Why do I deserve this? Why do I have to drink sewage, skip showers, and go through this suffering? Daily life disrupted. No relief. People here in Yuhang don't know what to do. For several days, they've avoided tap water completely. Some have spent hundreds of yuan buying bottled water. And even when tap water returned, no one dared to use it. Some households have young children. They travel over 10 kilometers to other districts to bathe in hotels. They don't even eat in Yuhang anymore. The government property managers and the water company. None of them delivered a single bottle of water. They just said, "You'll get 5 tons of free water." But how? Who's tracking it? What about those who already drank the sewage? 1 yuan per ton. So 5 tons equals 15 yuan. Is our suffering worth just 15 yuan? If I gave you 1 million yuan, would you drink sewage? But now you expect Yuhang residents to get over it for 15. Long-term fears. Nationwide impact. What happens next? Will we ever trust tap water again? Every single pipe in our homes has been contaminated with waste. Who dares to use it again? Some say, this will blow over, but how can it? People are scared. The trauma is real. Yuhang has become a ghost zone. Bottled water is scarce. Even after filtering the tap water, we still boil it, then filter it again just to feel safe. This is a big city. If Hangzhou can't manage its water crisis, who can? No help. Just ridicule. The incident has been brewing for days, yet no official, no agency has delivered water to our neighborhood. The property managers are silent. The government is silent. The water company is silent. They say free 5 tons of water, but how is that supposed to work? A stomach full of sewage water in exchange for a rebate. That's what it's come to. Nationwide distribution of contaminated products. One final concern: local industries never stopped working. Factories making beer-bottled drinks and packaged foods continued production. Trucks loaded with goods left Hangzhou every day, headed for every corner of China. Now everyone in the country may be at risk of consuming products made with sewage water. A warning for all of China. Liu Ao, a Chinese expat in the U.S., said this feels like COVID all over again. The CCP suppresses the truth, silences whistleblowers, and leaves the public to suffer. When truth is dangerous, they erase it, just like with the chained woman case, just like so many times before. Cities like Beijing, Hangzhou, Guangzhou, and Hebei are seeing repeated water contamination incidents. Studies have shown that after heavy rainfall and floods, water can become discolored, cloudy, and foul-smelling. It may contain chemical residues, industrial waste, and dangerous bacteria. Don't think it's just Hangzhou. I posted a video about the Hangzhou water crisis. Then I said actually Beijing's tap water isn't great either. Someone accused me of fear-mongering, but I wasn't lying. I posted proof videos from June 7th showing clean water using filter pads. Now the same filters turn yellow-brown. So don't think this is just about Hangzhou. The whole country may be vulnerable. The real crisis. It's the water system behind the scenes. 80% of crayfish washed with toxic chemicals. The hidden truth behind shiny shells and China's food safety crisis. Spotless crayfish. But at what cost? In Nanjing's bustling Xianhe Xintiandi commercial area, a net celebrity crayfish restaurant draws hundreds of customers daily. Gleaming red crayfish are laid out in polished steel trays, promising a delicious meal. But behind their immaculate appearance lies a disturbing truth. Oxalic acid, an industrial chemical typically used to clean toilets and remove rust, is being used to wash the crayfish. Not clean water, not careful scrubbing. A toxic substance banned from food processing. This is not just one store's secret. It's a warning about the collapse of food safety in China, where profit often trumps the health of millions. Crayfish, a beloved street food across China, has become a cultural icon. Found from roadside stalls to high-end restaurants, it's served in flavors from fiery Sichuan to sweet Cantonese. But what happens when this staple meant to nourish and bring joy turns into a threat? The story of oxalic acid isn't an isolated scandal. It reflects a crumbling system where truth is hidden, health is sacrificed, and public trust erodes. From popular street food to chemical hazard. Crayfish isn't just a dish, it's part of Chinese social culture, linked to midnight meals and gatherings among friends. Yet, in this Nanjing restaurant, cleaning crayfish has become an act of recklessness, devoid of ethics and concern for public health. A recent investigation revealed that the restaurant uses oxalic acid, commonly dubbed crayfish cleaning powder, to process its crayfish. This harsh chemical used to strip rust or clean toilets and metal surfaces transforms murky water black within minutes as it strips the crayfish of dirt. Their shells emerge shiny, spotless, and deceptively clean. But beneath that gloss lies a toxic residue ready to be consumed. This store doesn't operate in the shadows. With a 4.9 rating on food delivery platforms and over 1,000 orders per month, it's a Nanjing favorite. Hundreds of kilos of crayfish are sold daily from display trays to neatly packed takeout boxes. Why would such a successful store take this risk? The answer is painful in its simplicity. Profit. Hand-washing crayfish is slow, labor-intensive, and costly. Oxalic acid is cheap, fast, and effective. In minutes, hundreds of kilos can be processed, prepped, and sent out. The true cost isn't in money, it's in the health of unsuspecting customers. The hidden health toll. The use of oxalic acid in food preparation is deeply alarming. When ingested, it can damage the stomach lining, irritate the digestive system, and with prolonged exposure lead to kidney failure or liver damage. Medical experts warn that long-term consumption may cause chronic illnesses from nausea and stomach pain to kidney stones, and even cancer. Children and the elderly, those with weaker immune systems, are especially vulnerable. In Nanjing, customers were horrified upon learning the truth. One regular said, "I've eaten crayfish here weekly. I thought it was clean and delicious. I never imagined they used toilet cleaner to wash them." Others reported nausea and stomach pain, initially blaming it on bad food. Only later did they realize the culprit might be the shiny crayfish. But it's not just one restaurant. Social media reveals a widespread industry practice. A former worker at a Shandong barbecue shop confessed, "We were told to wash the crayfish with oxalic acid. We had to wear gloves because it burns the skin, but we still served the food." Another commenter wrote, "Who washes crayfish by hand anymore? Manual shops have shut down. They can't compete with chemical ones." When crayfish washes away. Public trust. Crayfish washed with oxalic acid don't just endanger health, they erode public confidence. A mother in Nanjing said, "I used to buy crayfish for my son. Now I'm too scared. How can I know which place is safe?" The fear doesn't stop at crayfish. It spreads to meat fish. Vegetables people begin to question, is anything I eat actually safe? 3 systemic causes behind the crisis. Profit over safety. China's food industry, especially street food and delivery outlets, operates in cutthroat competition. To cut costs and boost sales, many shops resort to cheap, dangerous shortcuts. Oxalic acid is far cheaper than hiring workers to hand clean or investing in sanitary systems. Suppliers often sell half-dead, low-quality crayfish for cheap, which shops revive with chemicals. One Nanjing shop owner allegedly said, "Without chemicals, we can't sell this much. Customers want cheap food, we have to work fast." Censorship and lack of transparency. Food safety information in China is tightly controlled. Stories like the oxalic acid scandal are quickly deleted or labeled as rumors. Whistleblowers, former staff, or concerned customers often face threats or account bans. In this Nanjing case, only after a covert video went viral on overseas platforms did authorities act. Even then, official details remained scarce, keeping the public in the dark. One Weibo user commented, "If no one leaked the video, we'd still be eating poison and not know it." Weak oversight and corruption. China's food safety monitoring is fragmented and under-resourced. Agencies like the Market Supervision Bureau often lack the tools or motivation for regular inspections. Violating shops are lightly fined or protected by local officials due to their economic contributions. The Nanjing shop, despite being caught using oxalic acid and having unsanitary kitchens with uncleaned water and foul smells, was only temporarily shut down for rectification. No punishment details were released. A sanitation inspector admitted, "We know many shops use chemicals, but they bring in local revenue. If we shut them down, who fills the tax gap?" The real cost. Health trust and the future chemical abuse in food doesn't just harm bodies, it destroys trust in the food system and government. In Nanjing, after the scandal, many customers boycotted crayfish, not just from this shop but across the city. "Who knows what's clean anymore?" one resident said. "Now I only eat at home." Another remarked, "I used to think popular shops were safer. Turns out they only care about money." This issue reflects a deeper crisis in China's food industry. From the 2008 melamine-tainted milk scandal, gutter oil reused, to toxic mooncakes, food safety has become a national anxiety. Each new revelation is another blow to public trust. Children, the elderly, and the poor who can't afford imported safe food suffer most. They have no choice but to consume what's available, even if it's tainted. Economically, the fallout is severe. Shops using chemicals may profit short-term, but when exposed, the entire crayfish and street food industry suffers. Tourists avoid local eateries, revenues drop, and cities like Nanjing lose reputation. Crayfish farmers, already burdened by high costs, now struggle to sell. One farmer in Hunan said, "We work so hard to raise crayfish, but now customers are scared. How can we survive?" Socially, resentment grows in crayfish-dependent communities. Suppliers are blamed for poor stock shops for chemical use and authorities for failed oversight. Small protests have emerged, quickly suppressed as disruptive. Meanwhile, poor families live in constant fear of what's in their food. One mother in Guangdong said, "I want my child to eat healthy, but how do I know if the crayfish is safe?" We have no options. A warning no one wants to hear. The Nanjing scandal isn't an outlier. It's part of a larger pattern where food producers and vendors are willing to sacrifice customer health for profit. From oxalic acid in crayfish, chemical-bleached chicken, to heavy metal-laced candies, China's food industry faces an unprecedented ethical crisis. But the scariest part isn't the scandals themselves, it's the silence. Authorities act slowly. Mainstream media barely touches the issues. And the public, though angry, feels powerless. "We know crayfish might be unsafe, but we still eat it," said one Nanjing resident. "If we don't eat crayfish, then what?" Everything has a problem. On social media, despite censorship, citizens share the truth-leaked videos of murky wash tubs, time-lapse clips of crayfish miraculously cleaned in chemicals, and whistleblower stories. Some volunteer groups distribute home chemical test kits. But these efforts are drops in the ocean. When the truth is hidden, authorities stay idle, and trust vanishes. The crisis only deepens. Final message: will China act before it's too late? China's food safety crisis isn't about one shop in Nanjing. It's a wake-up call to a collapsing system eroded by greed, secrecy, and poor governance. Crayfish washed with oxalic acid is just the tip of the iceberg. Millions may be unknowingly consuming toxic chemicals every day. The question is no longer, is there a food safety problem in China that is obvious? The real question is, does the country have the political will to change? Once again, the public waits for an answer. But with polluted rivers, toxic food, and hidden truths, time is running out. If you believe the truth must be told, especially when others stay silent, follow China Undercover. We reveal what they try to hide. One story at a time. What do you think is really happening to food in China? Share your thoughts in the comments. We're listening. We're listening.
Every year, a new disease. I don't know if I should keep paying for insurance. Surviving these outbreaks is exhausting enough. I don't even know if I'm going to live to be 63 to get this salary.
我都不知道我能不能活到63岁领工资那天。
China is grappling with an unprecedented crisis, a perfect storm of converging threats. The chikungunya virus is sweeping through the nation. COVID-19 continues to lurk in the background, and a chilling mystery is spreading. A sharp rise in sudden deaths among the younger generation, particularly those born in the 1980s. As Shanghai and other major cities wrestle with economic downturns, chikungunya has spread from Guangdong to Beijing, plunging millions into panic. Meanwhile, reports of unexplained deaths among those aged 30 to 45 are raising questions about the transparency of the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. A grim picture is emerging of a nation facing a multifaceted crisis: health, economic, social, and political, with secrets obscured behind official statistics and propaganda. This is a breaking report, unveiling the truth about the unfolding disaster. Chikungunya, an uncontrollable viral storm. Chikungunya fever, known in Chinese as Jigongyanre, literally chicken bone fever, has become China's latest nightmare. First reported in Guangdong on July 8, 2025, the virus has spread at an alarming rate. According to the Guangdong Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, within a single week, confirmed cases in Foshan surged from 481 to over 4,017, with 90% concentrated in Shunde district. Cities like Guangzhou, Yangjiang, Zhanjiang, and even the capital, Beijing, have reported locally transmitted cases, sparking fears of a nationwide epidemic. Many suspect the true number of cases is far higher due to government suppression of information. Transmitted by mosquitoes similar to dengue fever, chikungunya's severity is terrifying. With no vaccine or specific treatment available, patients rely on fever-reducing drugs and immune support, which offer limited relief. Symptoms include high fevers of 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, excruciating joint pain described as life-questioning, red rashes, muscle aches, nausea, and headaches that feel like an explosion in the skull. Approximately 20% of patients develop chronic arthritis, causing debilitating pain for years or even permanent mobility loss. In severe cases, the virus can lead to paralysis or death, particularly among the elderly, young children, and pregnant women. Foshan, the epicenter of fear. Foshan, particularly Shunde district, is the epicenter of the chikungunya outbreak. With its dense population and rural areas conducive to mosquito breeding, Shunde accounts for over 3,600 of Foshan's 4,017 cases as of July 25, 2025. Authorities have designated 53 hospitals at level 2 or higher for isolation and treatment, increasing mosquito-proof beds from 3,696 to 7,220. Hospitals like Beijiao Hospital are equipped with mosquito nets and screens, but the lack of specific treatments leaves patients enduring recurring fevers lasting 2 to 3 hours, leading to exhaustion. A Shunda patient shared on social media, "I've had a fever for 9 straight days, with joint pain so bad I can't walk. Fever reducers only help for a few hours before the pain returns. I'm healthy and exercise regularly, but this virus spares no one. Be careful, don't underestimate it." Such cries for help are flooding online platforms, amplifying public fear. Many are advising against travel to Foshan, especially to rural areas where mosquitoes thrive. Beijing shaken. The epidemic reaches the seat of power. The emergence of chikungunya in Beijing is a grave warning. The capital, a symbol of stability, is no longer immune to the epidemic's reach. Residents fear the government may reimpose strict control measures akin to those during COVID-19, heightening social tensions. A Beijing resident expressed, "We survived the COVID-19 lockdowns. Now, with chikungunya, will they lock down the city again? I just want my family to stay safe." The spread to Beijing is not just a health issue, but a political one. Many question whether the CCP is concealing the true scale of the outbreak to maintain an image of stability for the international community. Mosquito control and environmental sanitation campaigns have been launched, but residents view these as band-aid solutions for a crisis that has spiraled out of control. Sudden death surge. The 1980s, generation exhausted. Amid the chikungunya panic, a more sinister rumor is circulating: a 5.2% sudden death rate among those born in the 1980s, aged 35 to 45, meaning 1 in 20 from this generation has reportedly died. While state media dismisses this figure as a ridiculous error attributed to an AI called DeepSeek, the claim has tapped into deep public fears. The generation considered society's backbone is being squeezed dry by the CCP's system. Born between 1980 and 1989, this generation faces unique pressures. As only children under the one-child policy, they bear the burden of caring for 4 elderly parents and 2 children after marriage. In their youth, university education was free, but by the time they enrolled, tuition fees skyrocketed. Upon graduating, they entered a cutthroat job market with no guaranteed employment, unlike earlier generations. Soaring housing prices dashed their dreams of home ownership just as they began earning. The 9-6-9 work culture, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, or even 7-day work weeks, has left them physically and mentally drained, with chronic conditions like hypertension, diabetes, and strokes becoming common. Some suspect sudden deaths are linked to COVID-19 vaccine side effects. A Shenzhen construction worker shared, "Several healthy colleagues died suddenly after vaccination. They started getting persistent colds, then one day they didn't wake up." Reports from cemeteries and death registries in some regions show a significant decline in life expectancy, with one Shandong registry in 2024 recording an average lifespan of 65.8 years, including 5 out of 18 deaths, among those in their 40s. The CCP has cracked down on discussions of this issue, fining 9 individuals for stirring emotions and censoring social media, but the silence only fuels suspicions of a major health crisis. COVID-19, a lingering menace. While chikungunya spreads panic, COVID-19 remains China's greatest threat. According to the China CDC, SARS-CoV-2 infections still top the list of infectious diseases, with new variants emerging constantly. 5 years after the pandemic began, the virus is far from fully controlled, and many suspect the government is downplaying its severity. The combination of COVID-19, chikungunya, and sudden deaths is pushing China's healthcare system to the brink. A Guangzhou patient shared, "I survived COVID-19, But now I'm terrified of chikungunya. Neither has a cure, and I don't know how much more I can endure. The government says everything is under control, but hospitals are overflowing. Government response: cover-up or incompetence. Public frustration with the CCP's handling of the crisis is mounting. Many believe the government delayed releasing information about chikungunya, with the first case recorded on July 6th, but not announced until July 8th. In Foshan, mosquito control campaigns only began on July 19th to 20th, after the outbreak had spread widely. Senior official Wang Weizhong visited Shunde on July 25th to oversee containment efforts, calling for an all-out attack on the epidemic. However, many residents see this as too little, too late. The lack of transparency extends beyond chikungunya. Suspicions of suppressed information about COVID-19 and sudden deaths are eroding public trust. A social media user lamented, "Every year brings a new disease, but we're never told the truth. They say we're safe, but hospitals are overwhelmed and young people are dropping dead. What are they hiding?" Community response: unity or panic? Amid the crisis, Chinese citizens are showing both resilience and fear. A Foshan resident proudly shared, "I've prepared mosquito traps, repellents, and nets. Seeing all the dead mosquitoes makes me feel like I'm protecting my family and country." Stay strong, China. But not everyone is optimistic. A Guangzhou resident worried, "I got 13 mosquito bites despite using incense. I hear this virus causes lasting joint pain. I'm scared I won't be able to work." Social media is rife with conflicting opinions. Some downplay the crisis and urge against spreading rumors, but warnings from patients like, "This virus is worse than COVID-19, are fueling panic. A Shunda resident pleaded, "People mock those warning about the epidemic, but they don't understand our pain. Please respect and protect each other." A multifaceted crisis: economic, social, and political. Chikungunya is not just a health crisis. It exposes deep cracks in Chinese society. The economy, already weakened by COVID-19, is further strained as manufacturing hubs like Foshan face disruptions. Factories and businesses are halting operations due to labor shortages and containment measures. Workers struggle with rising living costs and job insecurity. Socially, dissatisfaction with the government is growing. One resident complained, "Every year, a new disease. I don't know if I should keep paying for insurance. Surviving these outbreaks is exhausting enough." Politically, suspicions of CCP cover-ups are undermining trust. Some sources, like New Tang Dynasty Television, cite Falun Gong founder Li Hongji, who claims these diseases are punishment for those tied to the CCP. While controversial, such views reflect deep societal unease. Advice for citizens: prevention and vigilance. To protect themselves, citizens must take strict anti-mosquito measures, use repellents, wear long clothing, install mosquito nets, and clear standing water. If symptoms like high fever, joint pain, or unusual fatigue appear, seek immediate medical attention for PCR testing. Self-isolation at home is prohibited. All patients must go to hospitals. Avoid travel to outbreak zones like Foshan, Shunde, or Guangzhou. Protect vulnerable groups like the elderly and children, who are at higher risk of severe outcomes. With COVID-19 still uncontrolled and sudden deaths rising, monitoring health and following medical guidelines are critical. China faces an all-encompassing crisis, with chikungunya, COVID-19, and mysterious sudden deaths intertwining to create a bleak outlook for a nation struggling to maintain stability. With the virus spreading rapidly, alarming death rates among the young, and government opacity, the Chinese people are confronting unprecedented challenges. Can the CCP weather this storm, or will hidden truths plunge the country deeper into crisis? The answer remains uncertain. Stay vigilant and informed. If you need more details or the latest updates, let me know.